Good evening, everybody. It is the Safety and the Sportswriter show with Knoxville, Nate, and Big Joe on a happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Hope you're having a good time. Hope those Irish car bombs are going down well. Don't have too many. I know they're tasty, but don't have too many of those because you may have to get up and work tomorrow. I don't know if you didn't get 2 days off. Anyways, we have a lot to talk about. It's the first day of March Madness, really, after the first four happened the last 2 nights. We got the first full day, which, of course, we've been watching. Big upset with the Richmond Spiders beating Iowa and sending Big Ten's best team home. We have a lot of NFL to go over. Quarterbacks are falling. Quarterbacks are getting sent elsewhere. Quarterbacks are coming back. We have a lot to get into there. And but before we get going, this past week with somebody going down, Nate, makes me question why I even care about sports sometimes. I mean, Brady comes back, unexpectedly.
Barf,
I know. Michigan, even though he had a big win today, I don't think they should have been in the tournament. They didn't deserve to be there. That had me PO'd. But the biggest thing for me, they finally settled the MLB lockout, and it didn't take 48 hours for a guy who's as big a star around here as it can be to make a jackass out of himself. Jacob deGrom saying he's going to, play out this contract, which he gets paid $33 million a year and hasn't had a complete season in 3 years? I mean, as great as he's been, you're going into a season where the Mets are pinning their hopes and their owner has gone out and spent money to put a team around him finally. And now he acts like a child and says, well, I'm going to play out my option. I mean, it makes it hard to really be a fan anymore. Where's the loyalty? I mean, even if you're going to do it, why do you have to He said he announced it now because he didn't want the questions all year long. Who the hell was making any questions?
No, I hadn't heard.
Going to be questions.
Yeah, I hadn't heard one person ask whether or not he was going to play out his option or not. I didn't hear anybody say that.
I mean, it's another time when you sit there and go, why do we even care about these people? They don't care about us. They're so totally selfish. Most of these guys have lived a life that, you were an athlete. I was not an athlete. You were an athlete. But even you, at the level you competed, you saw guys on your team or on high school teams growing up. They live a life that they're just giving everything. And it shows in the way they treat their fans when they get to this level.
Yeah, it's baseball just disgusts me, honestly. I mean, these guys get paid so much money. Why you would say that, especially coming off this strike that has been going on and push back the start of the season, and cause some cancellations while you're fighting over millions of dollars. Well, people can't even afford to put gas in their car. And you just go ahead and tell all your fans that you're not coming. And then, me being a Cincinnati Reds fan, it makes me barf every season as we, anyone who has any production gets dumped. Yeah. And then we sign a bunch of schmoes who nobody else wants for, minimal deals and, prepare our team to suck. And right. it just gets really old and I'm about over it.
I mean, at least the one thing I will say about the Reds is the fact that they don't, for lack of a better term, extort money from their family the way the Mets and Yankees do, where it's cheaper for me to get a hotel room to see the Mets in Pittsburgh and buy tickets there than it is to get a nice seat at Citi Field.
Well, yeah. Well, if you go to a Reds game after July, they basically pay you to go.
Yeah.
Because no one goes anymore. So it's like you can get a seat for $5 and the hotels are all half off because nobody goes after the All-Star break because the Reds are always out of it. So
yeah.
I don't know. Just this is what I'm talking about. Like you're signing Colin Moran. Who the hell is that? I mean, this is your big splash signing. I mean, I never heard of that guy until today.
Sad part, I know who he is. He played third base, I think, for the Pittsburgh Pirates for the last few years. What an upgrade for him. Pirates over the Reds. Cool.
Yeah, right. I mean, he batted .250. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, I know he is, but he sucks. Yeah, this is like their splash hire. He hit 10 whopping home runs. Wow. 50 RBIs.
Yeah, well, and as you and I talked about before coming in the year, this is why, even though I hate the Yankees, Paul O'Neill was such a refreshing guy, a Cincinnati guy himself, who, when he had a chance to leave the Yankees, he's in for a raise. He said, "No, I like playing for the Yankees." He took less money to stay with the Yankees, which is unheard of. He said, as he said at the time, he goes, "My kids' educations are all paid for. My wife loves living in Westchester County. I like playing for the Yankees. I like the fact that we have a good team and have chances to win for championships. Why do I want to go anywhere else?" There's a guy who's got his head on straight. There's a guy who understands. There's a guy that you should be rooting for. But instead, we root for the guys who really don't give a crap about us. So,
right. And we talked about off the air, Freddie Freeman, guy wins a World Series with the Braves. He's played his entire 11-year career for Atlanta. And what does he do but bolts for a 6-year, $162 million deal with the gosh darn Dodgers. I mean, I hate the Dodgers, and I'm so sick of seeing them, have a payroll that makes the Yankees even wince a little bit. It's just utterly ridiculous. And honestly, I give the Braves credit because they wanted to bring this guy back, but do you think in 6 years he's still going to be playing at the same level? No. But he's still going to be making the same money. I mean, 6 years, $162 million. Hell, in 3 years, he'll probably be 70% the player. Kudos to the Braves for letting him walk.
I mean, look at the life Chipper Jones had. I mean, I'm sure he could have gone to a few different places.
Oh, yeah.
But he stayed with Atlanta his whole career. He's a legend in Atlanta. I mean, there's something to be said for playing your whole career in the same place. You're going to be, if you're good, if you're going to play 15 years in the major leagues, you're one of the better players, and you're going to get paid well. What's the difference between that extra $10 million in your bank account? I don't get it. So the baseball, I go to a few games a year, but I can't say I love it like I did anymore. I love football more. At least these guys have to compete for their contracts, and most of these guys over and over again. And let's jump right into it right now and do football. And another kind of a childish situation that's getting out of hand is the Baker Mayfield thing. You and I have been, I don't want to say Baker apologists, but we give the kid a chance.
Baker Mayfield realist, I think, is what we've been.
But I mean, the owner of the Browns, who handles everything terribly, gets on a jet and goes down to talk with Deshaun Watson. And if you're looking at it talent-wise, there's no comparison. Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. Just is. But, I mean, when he comes out and now you got Chris Mortensen saying it's because Baker Mayfield is a child. Well, Deshaun Watson, if I get it right, was sat out last year saying he wouldn't play for the Texans again.
Yeah, this is a guy that you want to bring in and be your franchise quarterback. That's what I don't understand, all these teams gawking over this guy. What's going to happen when something goes wrong? What's going to happen when they lose 4 games in a row and then he gets pissed off, or they sign somebody and don't okay it with him first, and then he doesn't want to play anymore? I mean, I just, I wouldn't want this guy anywhere near my team.
No, he quit on his team last year, and you're going to have to give him so much power for him to come in, because he knows he's got some of these guys, some of these owners, guys like the guy who runs Carolina, Haslam, that they will make a deal with the devil. They'll sit there and they'll give Deshaun Watson who he wants. The coach will have no power over him. The GM will have no power over him. And when he brings in all his friends to play on his team and it doesn't work out, the coach will end up fired. The GM will end up fired. He's still going to get paid his money. So,
yeah, and then he'll want to go somewhere else. And, Haslam's from around here, obviously. And what I don't understand is he knew that Deshaun wasn't going to go to Cleveland. He knew that Deshaun wasn't going to be like, oh, yeah, you want to trade for me? Okay, I'm in. He wasn't going to go there. So why do you even go talk to him and make the quarterback situation even worse? If I was Baker Mayfield, I wouldn't go back there. I would be like, you know what? You guys don't want me. That's fine. Let me go. Trade me to Minnesota, which is what I keep hearing is going to happen. Trade me to Minnesota and let me get out of here if you guys hate me so much. I was playing pretty damn good until you made me play injured And then I wrecked my whole reputation because you got me out in the field when I can't even throw the football.
And I hear Seattle too. I don't think Indianapolis is a place he's going to go. But even that, I mean, even if you bring it in, we both like Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a quarterback for that type of place. Jimmy Garoppolo, I still think needs to go to a dome. I just don't think he's a strong enough arm to weather the winds of the Erie Lake Erie there. So I mean,
I think he would be a better fit in Indianapolis, honestly.
But I mean, it's like and then every analyst is coming down. Oh, Baker, we always knew he's a child. These guys have been on Baker's back since he got to the NFL. And I know Baker comes off arrogant and he comes off, but sometimes it's funny how sometimes we celebrate these guys and sometimes we go out of our way to just make it hard on them.
Oh, yeah. Well, Joe Burrow's Joe Cool, but Baker Mayfield's cocky, and they act the exact same way.
Yeah.
But it's just the way the media, perceives them, and then the way that they put them out there.
Right.
And Baker Mayfield, 2 years ago or a year ago, basically was leading his team to their first playoff victory in decades, and now all of a sudden he's a bum, and I really don't understand it. But the Deshaun Watson's not going to go to Cleveland. He's already they've already come out, his camp has, and said that he's not going there. So with them dropping out of it, it's essentially a 2-team race because from what I hear, the Panthers are out of it too. So it's coming down to the Falcons and the Saints. And, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm not sure why this hasn't been announced yet because this is obviously the last domino to fall. And you would think that teams want to get this guy locked up so that they can, the other teams can get their stuff going. And, the Saints are either going to sign Deshaun or Jameis. And they better hope they get one of the two because if they don't sign Deshaun pretty quickly, Jameis might be gone.
Right. So let's start. Let's go to the free agent market in the NFL, and let's start with the quarterbacks. Who's signed? Who's still out there? Who still has a need? Let's start with the signings. We got Mitch Trubisky going to Pittsburgh. That guy, I'll tell you, if I am Baker Mayfield, I'm just sitting there going, yeah, it may not be a bad thing to go someplace else and start it again. When you see how low Mitch Trubisky was thought of just 13 months ago, and now he's a savior in Pittsburgh. He's the next Big Ben. I mean,
all he had to do was sit out for a season, and all of a sudden he's a prospect again. It's like this guy was a prospect coming out of North Carolina. Why he was such a high prospect, I didn't really know. I didn't really agree with it at the time. He had played in 12 college football games, and I wasn't really that impressed from those 12. But, they end up taking him, 2 or 3 overall and trading up to get him. And then because they don't go to the Super Bowl, they dump him. And then he goes to be a backup in Buffalo and barely plays. And now he gets signed for $14.2 million.
Yeah.
I don't understand how his value went up so high from doing nothing.
It's the only thing you can say is he's most likely the healthiest because he hasn't played.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, he's the one guy he's not Jameis coming off a major knee surgery.
True.
He's not Jimmy Garoppolo just having off-season surgery. He's not Baker having off-season surgery. Russell Wilson with the hand situation. So, the one thing you can say about him is his health is 100%.
Yeah, he's healthy. He's definitely healthy. Is he good? I don't know, but he's definitely healthy. And you know what? As far as where he went, I think it's a pretty good situation because this is a team that already has 2 quarterbacks on the roster in Dwayne Haskins and Mason Rudolph. Those guys were already going to battle it out. Now they've got somebody that, may be just as good as those 2 guys, if not better, also pushing them. So, between the 3 of those guys, they'll find somebody that can do what Mike Tomlin wants and not screw things up enough to where their defense can win them some games.
Hey, the year Big Ben was out, Mike Tomlin kept them competitive.
Yeah,
with the Duckman and
Donald Ducky Hodge.
Yeah, so we had that signing. the Carson Wentz fallout we talked about last week. What else? What are the other guys? Where are we on the free agent quarterbacks and?
Quarterback. You want to do quarterbacks first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other one that's been signed, obviously, Tyrod Taylor going to the New York Giants. I really don't hate that one. I mean, they got him for $11 million, and this is a guy that proved last year in Houston that he can start some games and win some if he has to. I think this is a good insurance policy. I kind of would have, probably preferred Teddy Bridgewater over Tyrod Taylor, but really, what's the difference between those two guys?
Not quarterbacks.
Not much. And you got, you got Tyrod, who is healthy. I have no problem with him signing. So he signs with the Giants, 2 years, $11 million. You got Teddy Bridgewater, who signed with the Miami Dolphins.
Another good signing.
Good signing there, 6.5. You need a good backup to Tua.
Yeah.
He's been injury prone throughout his college and pro career. So I think that was a very smart move. I like what Miami has done. We'll get into the teams that we like here in a minute, but I do like what Miami's done. Kyle Allen signed with Houston. Chase Daniels signed back with the Chargers. Brandon Allen back with the Bengals, and David Blau back with Detroit. That's pretty much it as far as the free agents go. Obviously, we've had some trades. Carson Wentz gets traded to the Washington Commanders, and we also had Russell Wilson, of course, going to the Denver Broncos. You know what? Carson Wentz to the Commanders. He's probably better than Taylor, than Heineke. So I don't know. This guy, he keeps failing and not even being able to get his team to the playoffs, and keeps getting paid $20-something million to be a starter somewhere. I mean, this is his third team in like 20 months. So I don't know. I don't know what to even think about this guy anymore. The numbers weren't horrible last year, but let's be honest, that team, got as far as it did, which wasn't even the playoffs, but they won as many games as they did because of their offensive line, their running back, and their defense, not because of that guy.
Yeah, and he's going to have a running back like that behind him in Washington. He's going to have a solid running back, but not like that.
Right.
And, we'll see what they have to do. Plus, does it get him that much? The thing he has going for him is, depending on how good the Eagles become, they only have to be better than the Cowboys. And the Cowboys right now seem to be the eternal enigma. Yeah, on paper, they look great. On paper, you sit there and you go, oh, yeah. But when you actually see them come out, it's like, what happened? It's like the looking at a photo that's been airbrushed of a beautiful woman, and then you see her really, and you go, wow, something's wrong. So,
yeah, and honestly, I think we'll obviously get into the teams here in a second, but I think Dallas has taken a step backwards. I really do. I mean, they lost Randy Gregory, they lost Amari Cooper. These are two guys that I think should have been kept over some of these other guys that they signed. I mean, they signed Michael Gallup to a huge deal. What the hell's Michael Gallup done besides miss half the year last year? I mean, I like Amari Cooper over him. I understand that was purely a cap, saving move, but you also want to win football games. So renegotiate with him. I don't know, but I don't think Dallas has gotten better.
No, they haven't. Well, it's just an extension of what Jerry Jones has been doing for the last 30 years or 25 years since Jimmy Johnson left. He's a fan who's running a team. Yeah, and you can't be a fan running the team. If every fan got to run a team, they lose every year, because you have to be. There's a reason that these guys spend years becoming good and being scouts and understanding how to pick talent and coach talent and pick coaches that can coach the talent. Whereas Jerry Jones has been a great businessman, but not a GM, and he just can't figure that out.
Yeah, it's called hiring someone that knows what they're doing, and then staying out of the way. That's what you're supposed to do as an owner. Provide stability, provide leadership, and hire the right people to run your organization. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to be the guy on all the press conferences. He wants to be the guy on all the radio shows. He wants to be the guy patting himself on the back if they actually do anything good. And let's be honest, they haven't done shit since 1993. So I don't know why he hasn't, he won't change what he's doing, because it ain't working.
I mean, it worked back in the 70s and early 80s with Al Davis, but that was before salary cap issues. That was before everybody knew what they were doing with the draft. That was when, guys weren't making a god-awful lot of money. I mean, Kenny Stabler wasn't making 17 times more than his offensive lineman.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
You didn't have the salary cap. You didn't have the free agency. You didn't have these transition tags. I mean, it's gotten pretty complicated. Yeah. That's why you need somebody who's a cap expert. You need somebody who's a talent evaluator, and you need a good team around you to help you navigate this complicated world of football. But we've had a bunch of other big time signings too. What do you want to go? What do you want to talk about next? The biggest signings.
You bring it on.
All right, let's talk about the big money guys. Okay, obviously, the number one splash signing, as you will, for money is Von Miller. Yeah. Going to Buffalo. What this signifies to me is Buffalo's all in. Buffalo is going for a title run. Buffalo, saw their hopes dashed in overtime, and they're ready to go. I think they.
I don't know what that's about. Sorry, my phone's going off again. Go ahead.
I think that they are trying to win.
That's a strange guy who's calling me. I haven't heard from him in a long time. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're going all in, and do I think that they're going to keep him for 6 years? No. I mean, he's 33 years old. He's never going to see that $120 million, but 51 of it's guaranteed. 45 of it's guaranteed at signing, and he improves their pass rush. I mean, they need to get better rushing the passer. I like some of the younger guys they have, and Gregory Rousseau and Ed Oliver and those boys, but Von Miller's an immediate help rushing the passer, and I think Buffalo's doing a lot of things right at this point. What did you think about that one?
What I like about it is the one thing that's missing from that Buffalo roster is a guy that's been there, done that. Von Miller's been to the Super Bowl and won it twice. This is what Buffalo's trying to do. You need a guy that can be the leader of that defense at times. Like what they need, they lost in a shootout against Kansas City. I mean, would he have made a great difference on those two passes where, in overtime where they went down the field? Maybe not, but maybe he would have. Maybe he would have had that team and said, look, maybe he would have spotted something out there. Maybe he would have, done something spectacular, or maybe just added that kind of.
Maybe he would have told the guys to not let somebody get behind them.
Exactly.
When the only thing they can do is throw two bombs and try and kick a field goal. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think he brings that veteran presence they need. Somebody's been there. Someone gives him that little bit of, I don't know, veteran presence. So
he's definitely a leader, and I like that Buffalo isn't afraid. Why don't get cheap now? You're trying to win a Super Bowl. Look what the Rams did. The Rams brought these guys in the middle of the damn season, and they won the whole thing. So I like what Buffalo's doing. Yeah, we can get into the team as a whole here in a second, but I want to talk about some of these other big money guys. The next one is J.C. Jackson. This is a dude, $82.5 million with $40 million guaranteed. $40 million guaranteed at signing. Just unbelievable. They can't get out from under this guy at least for 3 years. I mean, $54 million is essentially the club option deal after 3 years. So he's locked into their roster for 3 years. What if he gets hurt? What if he sucks out there in their system? They're stuck with them. It doesn't really matter. And you know what? I think New England, I thought that I go back on what I said, because I said that New England needs to keep this guy. Well, I think they did need to keep him, but not for $82.5 million. I mean, Bill Belichick can find somebody else and train him up. I mean, he found this guy as an undrafted free agent out of Maryland after he'd been kicked out of Florida. So
Bill Belichick, Ty Law became Asante Samuel. Asante Samuel became Revis. Revis became Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore became J.C. Jackson. I'm sure that Belichick has a list of who he thinks can step in there and at least be a stopgap, if not a replacement for J.C. Jackson. I mean, I don't. This is a man who here's the anti-Jim Haslam. He's not going to let somebody hold him hostage. See ya.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. $82.5 million is just bonkers for that guy. I mean, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but nothing even close to being worth that. So,
but it's another move by the Chargers to. I guess they're going all in on. They're pushing their chips to the center of the table. But I mean, I don't. They're still going to have to be better than the Chiefs. They're still going to have to be now better than Denver. Is going to be. They're going to be in the toughest division, and
exactly. That's why it's an arms race over there.
Yeah.
And they saw last year that they had a really good offense. Hell, the coach goes for it on 4th and 10 from their own 10. So they got to have a good defense. And they traded for Khalil Mack. Now they've got J.C. Jackson. They've made a couple of other moves, and we'll get into what they're doing. But I like. At least like where their head's at. They want to win, and they want to win now. They know they've got this quarterback on a rookie deal. They got Rashawn Slater, who is an unbelievable left tackle they drafted on a rookie deal. So those are the two most important positions they've got for 4 years on a rookie contract. So right. They can spend the money elsewhere right now, and they're doing it.
Yep.
So I like that. Move for New England, not so much for the Chargers. But the other move is Christian Kirk to the Jacksonville Jaguars for $72 million. Christian Kirk, not the guy I would have signed. Dude is kind of a splash guy. Has made some big plays, but do I think he's earned a guaranteed money of $37 million? Hell no. Jacksonville needs help. Jacksonville needs to sign people. But on the Arizona Cardinals, this one makes no sense to me.
No, it's a little overreach by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean,
they got to overpay. They got to overpay to get guys.
I know they do, but I mean, the whole thing is it's that's one of the selling points that you heard in the offseason once they got rid of Urban Meyer was the fact, our coaches don't want to go there because there's so much money for them to spend. Well, they're going to just spend it this way, maybe not so much. So
yeah, well, I don't mind spending money. Wasting money is a completely different thing. I mean, if you're going to spend money, spend it. But throwing that much money, $72 million, to some guy that's never done anything and is a third wide receiver, I just don't understand that. But the last big money guy we'll talk about, obviously Chandler Jones going to Las Vegas. Got another guy that's a little bit long in the tooth, but showed last year he's got something left. I have no problem with that signing. I think that Chandler Jones is an upgrade over Yannick Ngakoue. And, they already traded him out, so they got rid of him and replaced him with Chandler Jones. I think it's an upgrade.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like you just said about the Chargers, the arms race out there, Vegas has to make some moves because the other teams are making moves. And, the Chiefs have been, for the last 5 years, they've owned that division. So they looked weak last year for a little while, but came back to finish strong. So, these teams aren't far off. So, yeah, Chandler Jones can make a big change in Vegas. So,
well, you got Max Crosby on the opposite side. So
who had a great end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's a high motor guy, a dude that's going to give you everything he's got on every play. And now you've got somebody opposite him that's a big-time game breaker that can wreak some havoc. So you're not going to be able to double both those dudes. One of them's going to be in the backfield on every play.
And let's face facts, you're playing 6 games against quality quarterbacks in your division that you're going to have to put some pressure on.
Exactly. So I like that move. The other one was Randy Gregory to Denver. This is a guy that apparently was signed up, ready to go, the exact same contract, 5 years, $70 million with Dallas. However, there was a clause in there where if he tested positive for drugs or, got broke something of the discipline policy, there was a bunch of different little nuances, let's call them, in his contract that he didn't like. And he was like, F this, whereas his exact words, I'm out. And he left and went to Denver. And to be honest with you, screw him. I mean, this is a guy that's been suspended like 4 times. This is a guy that's missed entire seasons because he couldn't pass a drug test. So if you're going to throw $30 million guaranteed, $70 million over 5 years, and he won't sign a contract because of some, some things built in there to kind of protect yourself, bye-bye. See you later, buddy. Go play for Denver. You've got Micah Parsons, who in my opinion is better than Randy Gregory.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I know he's better. He's younger, he's cheaper, and he's better. Put him at defensive end, sign Bobby Wagner, problem solved.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that is, don't let it do it. But the thing about that is that even a jackass like that can find another suitor.
Yeah. Oh,
that's the problem with the NFL is like you sit there and you talk about, character, and, they throw words like character. They throw words like, loyalty, things like that around. And there's no such thing in the NFL. They don't care. If you can help me win 4 more games, I'll take a chance on you. I don't care what you're doing. And, Denver, they don't care. They want to compete. So they're going to take a chance on them. And they might be hurt in the long run. It might be a waste of time. So
true that he could fail a drug test tomorrow and be out of the league because he's already popped, a number of times. And it's not like he's got a bunch of chances with the NFL. He's got in the program where he's got to be tested at any time. And if he fails one, he's out. So I don't blame. That's one thing I will give Jerry Jones credit is trying to put some relief in his contract that this guy can't even play. And let's be honest, 6 sacks last year.
Yeah.
He played in 11. He started 11 games, played in 12, which couldn't even get through an entire season. And then he gets 6 sacks. He's only had 16 and a half sacks in his entire 5-year career. So if he, for $70 million, bye-bye.
Yeah,
see you, buddy. I'll put Micah.
3
sacks a year. See you later, brother. Yeah. I'll put Micah Parsons at defensive end because he can play middle linebacker or defensive end and is better than everybody else at both. I'll put him at defensive end. I'll sign Bobby Wagner to play the middle, and you're all good. And as Bradford says, yeah, I'm sure he's going to get real sober in Denver. I mean, I guess they think he's going to be okay there because it's legal to smoke weed in Denver. So at least that thing he won't get, in trouble for. But my problem is all the other stuff he puts up his nose could be the issue.
And the place that gave us Coors beer. Thank you.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's kind of a party city, so we'll see what happens. But I don't blame the Dallas Cowboys for trying to protect themselves a little bit when you're giving somebody $70 million.
No, that was your day. That was now. Did I see Allen Robinson signed with LA today?
Yes, he signed a 3-year, $46.5 million contract with the LA Rams. Honestly, I think this is a really good signing. You replace OBJ with a guy that won't run his mouth and can probably play the position just about as well. Kind of reminds me of OBJ, honestly, at this point in his career and OBJ's point of their career. I think this is a good fit. I think if you get Robert Woods to come back, you'll have Robert Woods. You'll have the best wide receiver in the league in Cooper Kupp, and then you'll have Allen Robinson. So I think this is a great move for LA.
Yeah, it is a great place. It is more stability, especially with the fact, no matter what you want to say, I know we're not the biggest fans of OBJ, but he's coming up now. He's got another knee problem.
He's done.
And who knows what he's going to be coming off this knee surgery. So,
yeah, I think he's pretty much done, to be honest with you. I mean, this is his second knee in the last 3 years, and he was already starting to slow down.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, just take a look at his stats. I mean, 40 catches. I mean, everybody on TV made it the greatest 40 catches ever, the greatest 40 catch season ever seen in the NFL. Yeah. But I mean, he had 40 catches for 6 touchdowns. Those are pedestrian, stats at best.
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere else, anybody else, they would have been saying, well, maybe it's time for him to look elsewhere. So,
yeah, no doubt. Well, the guy has 2 catches in a playoff game, and he's like the guy they interview in the post game press conference. So who knows? But there are a couple other signings that I really liked, and these are the ones that I liked the most, and that I thought were good moves for these particular teams. And then we can get into the teams that we think have done the best. But the particular signings that I liked the best was CJ Uzama, a guy who really stepped up last year for the Bengals, had a great season, helped the Bengals get to the Super Bowl, and he got signed by the New York Jets. And let's be honest, man, the Jets have not had a tight end really since Dustin Keller was there and, before he got injured. So
yeah.
I think they needed a tight end. You've got to get this young quarterback some weapons. You have to give him a chance. And Sam Darnold really never had a chance because he was horrible. This kid, I don't know whether he's good or not yet, but you have to at least get him some guys that he can, throw the ball to. And I think this guy's a good one to get. And
tight end is, you saw Uzama's worth when he got injured in the playoffs for the Bengals. He was he played, but he was playing on one leg. Yeah. I mean, he was a big weapon for them all year long, plus a great safety valve for Joe Burrow. Yes. And every you just go back in time, the great quarterbacks have always had tight ends. Have always had good tight ends, and they're worth their weight in gold. So yeah, it's a great signing for the Jets. Joe Douglas seems to be making now the moves that he was brought here to make. So yeah, and he's another guy, like I said, going back to the Von Miller situation. Here's a guy who's helped a team that's where he was with the Bengals when the Bengals sucked. Yeah. And he did the things and went along for the ride as they got better. Maybe he can be that leadership, that locker room guy.
Right. And they also signed Tyler Conklin, who had a pretty good season last year in Minnesota. So now you've got two tight ends as opposed to the zero that you've had for the last 10 years. So I like both bringing in both those dudes. One of them goes down, you have the other guy. So why not stock up at a position that can really help your young quarterback and not only help in the passing game, but help in the running game, because these are two guys that can also block.
Yep.
So I really like that signing. The other signing that, a lot of people may not be talking about, but that I really like is Miles Jack. Dude got released by Jacksonville. This is one guy that is, throughout all the trials and tribulations of what is the Jaguars franchise, the one guy that has been down there the whole time, keeping his nose clean, keeping his head down, and busting his butt the entire time making tackles is Miles Jack.
Yeah.
And, they just reward him by dumping him on the street. And unbelievable signing, in my opinion, for the Steelers to go out, pick him up. Got him relatively cheap, honestly, for his type of production. He's only 26 years old. They get him for 2 years, $16 million. Only have to pay him 6.5 guaranteed. And this is a guy that immediately improves that linebacker core that struggled at times last year.
And he's such a Tomlin type of guy.
Yes.
Tomlin's going to love him. He's going to get the best out of him. He fits right in with the Steeler defensive mentality. Like you said, don't shut your mouth, make tackles.
Right.
Simple. You'll be a star just because the people in Pittsburgh love their defense and know what they're watching. So you don't have to sit there and go, look at me, look at me. They understand what good defense is in Pittsburgh, and so does Mike Tomlin. So that is a great signing.
Yeah, and they've been hit by injury in the linebacker core the last 2 or 3 years, and this gives them some, extension in the depth department, and then it also gives them a guy that can kind of be there in case Devin Bush doesn't come back, because this guy was not the same last year as he was his rookie season. Is that because of the injury? Is that because the guys around him? I don't really know, but this gives you kind of an insurance policy to where if Devin Bush never returns to that rookie form, you can just put this guy out there and let him go.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Those are great signings there. Are we going to look at the teams next, or what else we got out there? What other guys are out there that are intriguing?
Yeah, let's talk about some guys that are still available. Why don't we do that first, and then we can talk about the teams that I think have helped themselves the most, and you can talk about what you think of some teams. But let's talk about some guys that are still out there and still available on the free agent market, and guys that I kind of thought would have been signed by now. One for sure is Jarvis Landry. This is a guy that got released, several days ago. But let's be honest, he's 29 years old. He's the one guy that's been a constant in Cleveland and actually shut his mouth and caught footballs. I thought somebody would have picked up Jarvis Landry by now, don't you?
I do, but the only thing about Jarvis that I don't want to say concerns me is when it's starting in Miami, everybody expected him to be a number one guy, and he doesn't. Even though he puts up consistent numbers, he's never one of those guys you mentioned as one of the top wide receivers in football. I mean, he seems to be a good number two option, and I think that's why I think people shied away from him a little bit because even when OBJ went away, it wasn't like he exploded, and that could be a lot of with having to do with the health of their quarterback.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's Jarvis Landry. I don't want to say he's. I think he's worth a chance at the right money in the right situation. But if you're looking for him to come in and do a Stephon Diggs up in Buffalo or something like that where he changes the whole complexion of your offense, he doesn't seem to be that guy.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't think he's going to turn a team around. I don't think he's really a number one anymore. But I just thought somebody would have picked him up by now because he is a dude that can improve your wide receiver group, and he's a pretty blue-collar guy who doesn't mind doing the work and blocking guys downfield in the run game. I mean, that's one thing that people don't really talk about. But Jarvis Landry can go out and put a body on somebody and make downfield yardage for Nick Chubb and the other guy that used to play for the Chiefs that they have in their backfield as well. So I think he's a blocker. He can catch the ball. I just think he's a dude that can go out there and help a team, but definitely not a wide receiver number one anymore.
Did T.Y. Hilton get signed, or did he stay with the Colts? Did he leave? I didn't see any news on him.
I don't. He is not. He's on the unsigned list.
See, now there, if I was the Colts, I think I would take a shot at Jarvis Landry.
I think that's a great spot for him. Put him with some of those younger guys, Pittman that they have, and add him to that mix. I think would be an excellent move.
And like you said, he doesn't mind blocking, and they love running the ball.
There's no doubt about that. So I like that. But we've also got a couple other guys that are still available. Teron Armstead. Let's be honest, left tackles don't grow on trees. Left tackles that are 6'7", 320 pounds that can move, like Teron Armstead, very rare. So the fact that he's still available, it's not because no one wants him. It's because he hasn't decided where he wants to go yet. Yeah. He's kind of waiting to see what happens in New Orleans, in my opinion. This is a guy who's still 30 years old. I think he wants to see if they bring in Deshaun Watson. I think he wants to see if they bring back Jameis. He wants to see what happens in New Orleans before he decides to go somewhere else. That's what I think, because otherwise I think he'd be signed at this point.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, he's not just going to go anywhere. He's not just going to sign anywhere. So yeah, he's going to pick his spot and go. So yeah, New Orleans would be a good spot for him if they get the right quarterback.
Right. I think he should go back to New Orleans if they get somebody he thinks they can win with. If not, he can leave and alleviate some of the cap room. So honestly, the Saints kind of win either way. But, we just talked about Bobby Wagner. He's still unsigned. I think he'll probably get signed sometime this week. It's just, the money is probably the thing that's holding that up. He's 31 years old. He's got a lot of wear and tear on his body.
He's got a lot of mileage.
He's got some mileage, but this is a guy that still plays in a lot of football games. So it's not like he's been watching the last few years. So, I understand that there is some mileage on the engine, but this isn't a car that's about to break down. He's got a couple years left. It's just about the money, in my opinion. He played in all 16 games last year. He had 170 tackles. So the production is still there for Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, but it's a linebacker is not as respected a position as it used to be.
True, but somebody who can stand in the middle and get everybody lined up, he can command respect. He's been there before. He's won a Super Bowl. This is a guy who I think should be signed.
I used to love watching linebackers play, but it just seemed like these when they go in the pecking order, it's like, Bobby Wagner would be nice, but I think I can do something else. I don't know. I think he's 15 years away from when the linebackers would have commanded more respect and he would have been snatched up already. But somebody will grab him, and maybe he's waiting to figure out the right spot, just like Armstead.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants to just see where where everything's settling, and he's going to get paid money, and then he's going to get paid someplace else. But why rush it if you're him?
No, I agree. I think you should sit back and let the dominoes fall and then go to the best spot for him. This is a guy who's a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. He's already, won a Super Bowl in Seattle. I think he just, at this point, it's about winning with him. I think he doesn't want to be on another team that sucks like he was last year. He had 170 tackles, and hell, most of the time he didn't tackle him. The guy was gone. Right. So I think you're right. I think he's waiting for a best spot. But some other dudes that are probably, a little long in the tooth, and that's why they're still around right now. Fletcher Cox from Philadelphia, unbelievable defensive tackle. He's 31 years old. Probably, going to be a while for him based upon the money that he wants and the amount of years he's got on his body. And then, Julio Jones, another guy who, $20 million is what the Titans paid him last year for one touchdown. So I wasn't shocked to see him get released. I think it was a bad move for the Titans to sign him last year. I know they needed help at wide receiver, but, man, why don't you just draft somebody good like you did with A.J. Brown instead of signing some dude that's done?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the whole thing. Like what we talked about with baseball and football coming on, you can't pay Julio Jones like he's 25 anymore. And that's basically what they did. And they paid for it. He wasn't the same player. How many games did he miss? 3, 4?
Julio Jones, he only played in 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, so he missed 7 games.
Yeah,
and, it's unfortunate for Julio. He had a great career in Atlanta, but he should just hang his head on, and just maybe it's time for him to retire.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, how many games is he going to play in this year? Probably less. So I don't know if anybody will take a chance on him. He's probably a guy, in my opinion, that like around October, if a team has got 2 or 3 wide receivers that go down, if Julio's in shape, then maybe you bring him in.
And like you said, every year we seem to be getting wide receivers coming out in the draft that are quality wide receivers that come in and do the job, and they contribute. So, yeah, it's nice to every once in a while when you get a Julio Jones who for 8, 9 years was one of the best wide receivers in football, but as we've seen, wide receivers sometimes are not worth what you're paying them. I mean, you can get for years the Patriots got by with a bunch of Smurfs up there, and no great wide receivers.
Yeah, no, this draft is stocked with wide receivers, so I think that I think you're probably not going to see some of these guys get signed at all, at least until after the draft, as far as these wide receivers go. Jarvis Landry, Julio Jones, trying to think, Will Fuller, Jamison Crowder, T.Y. Hilton that we already mentioned, Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, there's a lot. Cole Beasley, who just got released. There's a lot. Emmanuel Sanders, who is a free agent and has not been signed back by Buffalo yet. A.J. Green, Keelan Cole. There's a lot of wide receivers that are free agents. Sammy Watkins that are out on the street right now, and I don't think a lot of them are going to get signed until the draft shakes out.
No, and a lot of them are going to end up in places like Houston.
Yeah,
they're going to have to reinvent themselves and go to bad teams. Detroit, places where they're looking for star names at cheap prices. A Cole Beasley would be great in like a place like Detroit, or for them trying to build something.
Yeah, I kind of like Cole Beasley to Detroit. I think that would be a good thing to bring him in to help with all the young guys that they have, and add him to the mix. Detroit needs a lot of help in a lot of areas, so they got a lot of draft capital. So we'll see how they use it, and they've got some money too, so they can sign some of these free agents if they're still there. The Lions did sign DJ Chark, who is a wide receiver out of Jacksonville, who missed a lot of last season with injury, but has shown some production.
Yeah, he's shown some flashes.
Oh, definitely. And he showed that he could potentially be a number 1 receiver before he got hurt. And they got him on the cheap, a 1-year deal for $10 million. Not on the hook for a bunch of guaranteed money, and a guy that could potentially help them and improve their wide receiver position. So I kind of like that move.
Yeah, it seems. I'll tell you, Detroit seems to. I mean, it's hard to project what Dan Campbell will do there, but I like the fact that they played hard all year long. There's something that even though we've seen these flashes before from Detroit, where you think they're heading in the right direction and never seems to, to work out. But I kind of like what they're trying to do up there. Will Jared Goff be the answer down the road? Probably not. But they've got a lot. But you could do a lot worse than him right now.
Yeah, I think you roll him out there this year. Maybe draft a young guy, put a young guy on the roster, and have him learn behind him. And if he's better than him, replace him. But I mean, why not? You could do worse than Jared Goff as your quarterback. So I think he'll be all right. The only other guys that are still out there that kind of intrigue me, obviously JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul.
I told you where I think he should go. I think the Jets should snatch him up. First of all, to throw it in the face of my guys across town. And, JPP, the one thing he can always do is rush the passer.
Yeah, he's 33 years old, but you wouldn't have known it by watching him play last year. He was injured, and he still played almost every game and still was productive. So I think someone will sign him. I also think you're going to see Hakeem Hicks, the defensive end from Chicago. He's a little bit long in the tooth, but a guy that can still play. He's going to get signed eventually. And, we've got Stephon Gilmore, who finds himself back on the open market after getting signed last year by Carolina and not re-signed by them. So, Bill Belichick, lets Stephon Gilmore sit out for a while. And then when he demands a trade, he trades his ass, gets rid of him. And now look at him. He's not even on a team at the moment. So I think that's why, he didn't have a problem with J.C. Jackson going out the door either.
He's had a habit of making the trades at the right time. I mean, even it just, well, we don't know. We can't project 10 years down the line for tonight. But I mean, even when he let Brady walk, he almost made the playoffs without him. So, I mean, this guy just knows what he's doing up there. And he did make the playoffs the year after. Yeah. I mean, it's about the laundry. It's about his coaching staff. It's about the laundry. And you can never discount anything he does. Will he win another championship? I don't know. But he's always going to be competitive. He's always going to make you think he can win a championship. Yeah, no doubt. And just to talk about, some of the teams real quick before we run out of time. Obviously, like I said, Buffalo's really impressed me. They signed some defensive tackles, Daquan Jones from Carolina, 2 years, $14 million. They signed Tim Settle, defensive tackle from Washington, who's been very productive. Yep. They also signed Jordan Phillips, defensive end from Arizona, as well as, traded for or signed Von Miller. And then they signed a guard, Roger Saffold, a guy on a 1-year deal from Tennessee, kind of a show-me deal. And then they signed O.J. Howard, the tight end from Tampa Bay. And they got him real cheap because he's had some injury problems. But when healthy, this guy's been pretty impressive. And they signed him for 1 year, $3.5 million. So I like what Buffalo's done so far. Yeah, Buffalo has seemed to make all the right moves in the last 5 years. I mean, they haven't made it to the Super Bowl. I mean, they are moving in the right direction. And I think they were smart to kind of look at the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. Still in the running back situation kind of worries me, but everything else up there seems to be heading. I don't see anybody replacing them outside of New England. But New England has to get very hot. Yeah, there's no doubt. Oh my God! Apparently, 20 minutes ago, we've got some breaking news that I did not know. But wow, whew, this is kind of shocking. Apparently, Davante Adams has been traded. Oh my God! To the Las Vegas Raiders. Star receiver Davante Adams has been traded from the Packers to the Las Vegas Raiders for 2 draft picks in 2022. Wow. So apparently they could not get the long-term deal worked out. They signed him, obviously, to the franchise tag. He said he was not going to play under the franchise tag. Now he's gone. And, wow. Do you think Aaron Rodgers
is happy about this.
Well, I was just about to say that. How's it going to affect Aaron Rodgers? And we all know Aaron Rodgers and his he just signed, but I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, who knows what he'll do?
I don't know, but this is pretty crazy because I did not see that coming. I knew that he was unhappy. I knew he wanted a long-term deal, but I know that the Packers are kind of up against it. And basically, he wanted money that they just can't pay right now because they don't have it. They just made Aaron Rodgers the most richest paid player of all time. And apparently, now he's gone.
And this is a great example of these quarterbacks that don't see leaving a little bit on the table helps.
Yeah. No, if he had structured his deal more favorably to the team, they could have signed Davante Adams. But wow, that's kind of shocking. And I think we need to give Las Vegas some credit here. That is a huge upgrade to their wide receiver core. We just talked about they upgraded at the defensive end outside linebacker position with Chandler Jones. Now they've got Davante Adams. They signed Jakob Johnson, the fullback from New England. They signed Mac Hollins, the other wide receiver, Brandon Bolin. Our boy from New England is bringing some of his guys with him.
Josh McDaniels doing a smart thing this time.
Yeah,
and Derek Carr's going to be smiling.
Yeah, he's bringing in some guys out there. So I think we need to give Las Vegas some credit. The smartest thing they could have done was fire Mike Mayock because ever since he's been gone, it seems like the team's been running a lot smoother.
Yeah, and that is going to – I'll tell you that AFC West is going to be very interesting next year. It's going to be – can't wait to look at their schedule and see how it lines up against the other teams.
Okay, so I just got the contract in front of me. 5 years, $141.25 million. So 5 years, $141.25 million. That is going to be almost $30 million a year, $28.2 million. I believe that makes him the highest paid wide receiver in the league.
Wow. I mean,
which he should be.
He is the best. There's no two ways about it. But you now have just, I mean, they keep raising this bar. I don't know how far they think they can stretch it, but that's a lot to play for one player, especially a wide receiver.
Well, what are the Packers going to do at wide receiver now? Because, they just restructured Randall Cobb's deal, but Randall Cobb, is not really going to help them much. And, he's pretty much done. So
nice one, Whitey. Carry a gun to the huddle.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but, driving alone with a mask on. Yeah, no, I just can't believe that they couldn't get something worked out because he was kind of saying he was waiting to see what happened with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers says he's coming back, and now Davante Adams is gonzo. So let's be honest, man, the Packers need to figure something out. They need to figure something out pretty quick because Aaron Rodgers has got nobody to throw it to.
No, well, Aaron, you said you're the best player in football and want to be paid like it. Here you go. Make the wide receivers better.
Yeah, who Green Bay has signed so far? Nobody. They've signed one guy, Pat O'Connor, defensive end from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I've never heard of, and that's who they've signed so far. So they still need to figure out some moves because I believe they signed Preston Smith, but Zadarius Smith has gotten a couple of offers. Apparently, he was about to sign with Baltimore, and he backed out of it. So we're going to see what happens, but Green Bay is not – this is why I told Aaron Rodgers to leave, man. The team wasn't that great to begin with, and now without Davante Adams, I think they're taking a serious step backwards.
Well, we just talked about Detroit building in the right direction. Maybe they'll go into hyperdrive on their rebuilding process. I mean, that could open up that whole division.
Yeah, no, it looks like it. We'll see what happens, but that's not good for Green Bay.
In the final minutes here before we go off the air, we just got to address if you're Tom Brady's family and he says to you, it's time for me to stop being selfish and come and spend time with my family. And 40 days later, he says, enough time. How are you feeling about you? Talk about some kids that are going to need some therapy later on.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about that too, like with his wife. I mean, he's like, I've been playing football for 22 years. I think it's time for me to spend some time with my family. He says this 2 weeks later. He's like, yep, I'm unretiring.
Yeah, exactly.
Football, I see football in my future. And I'm just like, whoa, dude, this is not sending a good message to your family.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of worry about him because he wants to spend time in a sweaty locker room over time with Giselle. But, you know, I don't know.
What are you coming back for? You've got 7 Super Bowls. You know, there's nothing left to win. I don't really understand what he's coming back for. It doesn't make any sense to me.
The worst thing is it's not like he hasn't seen this act. This is Brett Favre all over the place again, and look at how Brett Favre was thought about at the end of his career. I mean, nowhere near what they thought of him earlier in his career, where he used to, you know, the home, you know, shucks homeboy, great hero to, you know, the plain states of America. That football warrior. And
he had his best season his last year ever in Minnesota. That was his best statistical season as a quarterback. So obviously he had some football left to play, but you know, the retiring and unretiring shit.
Yeah, it got to be a bad act.
Yeah, it rubbed people the wrong way and got
old. That's what got me. It got to be a bad act. Yeah, I mean, you know, there was something pure about him in Green Bay. There was something about him that made you go, yeah, I like that guy. And the more you saw him, you know, jumping around, going to New York and then going to Minnesota, you sit there and go, well, let some other guy play.
Yeah, well, maybe it wasn't a bad idea to get out of Green Bay, because that's what I thought Aaron Rodgers should have done. And now look at him. He's sitting up there with Alan Lazard.
Well, maybe Julio Jones will go up there.
And OBJ.
Yeah, it'd be a perfect place for those guys.
Yeah, you know, they're probably on the phone with Jarvis Landry right now.
Yeah, another place he could go. That would be another guy he could go up there. So that would be interesting. So, yeah. The NFL free agency, it's wild, you know, with the draft, we'll see what's happening. But I'll tell you, it's like, you know, you sit there and, I mean, Baker Mayfield being chased out of Cleveland and the Giants still believe in Daniel Jones. Where the hell is the logic in this freaking football world?
I don't know. Apparently Baker asked for a trade and requested a trade from the Browns, saying it's probably best to move on. And now the Browns are saying they're not going to let him go. And it's just like, wait a second, you blamed the whole season last year on him. You're trying to get to Deshaun Watson, and now you're not going to let him go somewhere.
And somebody is leaking. I don't think Chris Mortensen would come out and make that statement without somebody leaking it to him. Chris Mortensen does not strike me as the kind of guy that at this stage of his career needs to make a big splash. You know what I mean? He's on the waning end of his career. I think somebody in the Browns organization started saying he was a baby or something, and you know it is true. I mean, it's like what was that song? It wasn't me. That's what Haslam will be singing next time he sees Baker. Wasn't me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If I was Baker, I'd get the hell out of there, because
I do too.
That place is just a mess, and it doesn't even matter how much talent they bring in. They've proven they can't win, no matter how many guys they get around. And I think it's best for him to get out of there, go somewhere else, and get to a team that has some stability.
I saw a good place, you know, that it was rumored. Seattle would not be a bad place for Baker.
I think that'd be a great spot for him to go. I think there's a lot of teams. Carolina even would be an upgrade over Cleveland, just because they've got the defense ready. They've got some decent weapons on offense. If McCaffrey can actually play in a couple of games, I think that would be better for him. There's still a lot of teams that need a quarterback, and I think Baker should get while the getting's good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I just think that he's you know, you and I discuss it weekly it seems with him about how badly he's been treated since he came in the NFL by the pundits. But now when he's got his own owner openly doing these kind of things, you know, not even behind his back.
No, they do it on the news. They Haslam gets like photographed, with his arm around Deshaun Watson. I mean, it's ridiculous. By the way, little update for you basketball folks. Kentucky is tied at halftime with the 15 seed St. Peter's.
Yay!
37,
the pride
37.
of New Jersey.
St. Peter's is tied with Kentucky 37-all. UConn is down by 10 at halftime to New Mexico State, the 12 seed. Not good. San Diego State has beaten Creighton 31-19, and St. Mary's in Indiana St. Mary's is beating Indiana 28-26. So lots of good basketball going on right now.
Yeah, a lot of basketball. I want to get to watching that. So what's going on the man coverage show this weekend?
Yeah, man coverage. We're going to be live Sunday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. As always, we're going to be having one of the greatest running backs in college football, Big Ten and Ohio State history, Pepe Pearson, is going to be on the show. He is now a coach with Eddie George at Tennessee State. He used to be he used to coach at Marshall and was coaching for the Thundering Herd until he got the call from Eddie. When Eddie got the head coaching job down at Tennessee State, he opted to move, head down to Nashville. And he's going to be back in Columbus on Saturday at the Sports Fest signing autographs. Sunday morning, he's going to be joining us on Man Coverage. So everybody tune into that. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Join us because that's going to be a hell of a show. He was a great player and a hell of a coach and an even nicer guy. So looking forward to having Pepe Pearson on the show.
And we had a nice crowd last night at the trivia. So Wednesday night, Bankhouse, if you're in Norwalk, come by, say hello. I'll even talk sports with you. So we got that going on. Everybody, March Madness this weekend. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Go Irish, even if you aren't Irish, because everybody's Irish today. And everybody have a great night.
All right, guys. Adios.